Hey guys, before the actual video starts, I wanted to give a little bit of a different intro today. Some of you may not know, but I am in a band with some of my college friends. I play keys in this band called Divine Resonance. And so for this week's Music Talks episode, me and our lead singer, Jake, sat down to do some promo stuff, and I decided to kind of piece all that together into a longer interview. So that's what you're going to see. We're going to be talking a lot about our band, talking about our upcoming show, October 10th. You can go buy tickets for that. It's our album release show. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. And thank you so much for watching all these interviews. It's super fun for me to talk to my friends about music. All right, without further ado, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to the first time that we're doing something like this. I feel like for Divine Resonance, our social media game has been like a journey.
It has been, yes.
Yeah, like Jake and Dan, you guys do a lot of it. And so as we were kind of recording and doing a lot of this new project, I was like, oh man, it would be great to like sit down with Jake especially and get kind of the behind the scenes of the writing process of this new EP, the recording process, and just kind of the thoughts behind this EP. Because I think, Jake, I'm sure you'll tell a lot of the backstory, but right before COVID, we had a bunch of different gigs lined up, and we were kind of hustling as a band and had a lot of awesome opportunities lined up. And so I think, the pandemic, like many other bands, many other artists, it was really hard to get traction back. But for you, Jake, you wrote a lot during that time. And so a lot of these songs came out of that time. So we're going to kind of talk through those songs. But earlier this year, we were able to go record at Electrical Audio, this awesome studio in Chicago. We worked with Greg there. Shout out, Greg, you're the best. And it was super fun. And it was a full circle moment. It was kind of overwhelming in a good way. But yeah, Jake, do you want to just kind of go through what the process of recording there was like, and then maybe talking about kind of your thoughts behind this upcoming EP that we have?
Yeah. I mean, it was a really cool experience. I think a unique experience too, because not all studios do what Electrical Audio does. And one of the things is that you can get lodging at the studio. They have rooms above the recording studio. So we stayed there for 3 straight days and just hammered this out, which was exactly how I wanted this to go, right? Like I get to just be with these guys I love making music with, and guys who are my friends, and we just get to make music together, do nothing but that for 3 days, which proved to be a really fun and unique experience. And what I think also is true is that it shows on the album, right? We can hear, Gabe and I both heard it, even though it's not out yet. I can promise it's true. We can hear the chemistry in the music, like us all having fun together. Getting to go out and eat each night together at a nearby restaurant and talk about what we did that day. That was a lot of fun. So the whole experience, I think, was just so unique, and being able to do it was a privilege, in my opinion. Getting to access high-level equipment, high-level expertise in the production. Again, shout out Greg. Just such a great experience at Electrical Audio. This kind of feels like a commercial for Electrical Audio, but I think I was just really blown away by the whole experience. So it was very special, being able to bring, like you said, some of this music was born in times of really, I would say personal strife and suffering. 17 months of joblessness. Churches just weren't hiring, right? During COVID. And so trying to feel my way through what it means to be a person, and what I believed to be a person called to do ministry, and yet walking into wall after wall,
Mm.
uh, trying to embrace that calling. But in the midst of that, you get to see that precedent in what we see across the Word of God making good out of evil. I found that writing music was a supreme good in that time. Was just such
Mm.
a good thing for me to be able to do, and to channel the feelings I was having about what felt like failure, right? What felt
Mm.
like personal strife on par with, like, on the level of my identity, and just reminding myself that my identity is not my own, not anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, that was seeing all that come to fruition. Like you said, it's like
Mm-hmm.
everything was such a build up to this past year in the studio, and having that music come to life. That was really special. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was so well said. It was really, the recording process. It was kind of a gauntlet, especially for you. Because it's like, I think we were, well, I know we were very ambitious.
yes.
We actually wanted to record 2 or 3 more songs that we didn't get to.
Mm.
Um, and I think it was so much a learning process for us. And, I wasn't part of your guys' first, if I can say, studio album.
Right.
But, it was like recording at Trinity, recording in any classroom you guys could get and stuff. And so this time it was like, Billy, our drummer, was in kind of this fully enclosed room, and then Dan, myself, and James were in the kind of bigger studio, and then Jake was kind of in this vocal booth kind of to the corner. So it was kind of weird, because it was like we could all hear each other, see each other, but it was kind of weird to have this recording experience that was so isolated, in a good way.
Yeah.
But I think, like, even the first take, I don't even remember which song we started with, but the first take of, the first song, we were like, oh my gosh, this is like the bad take. And it was just like, it was so incredible,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a really cool process. And
Yeah.
yeah, just the way we recorded things, it was so nice to have professional people that were doing techniques of recording that we were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing,
Right. And like being able to do, kind of like hinted at, being able to record everything simultaneously, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a priority for us when we went in. We were like, we like how we sound when we record everything at the same time. So,
Yeah.
and they could do that, which was so
Yeah.
fun. Like you said, we were all in different booths and different parts of the studio, but we could all hear each other, hear the click, and then we would just go. And I think it paid dividends, right? I think
Yeah,
the end result speaks for itself.
for sure. So maybe we can get into the actual EP. It's called Wild Rivers. Jake, do you want to you kind of hinted at this a little bit, but do you kind of want to talk about, that name for the EP? What inspiration did you take from that? Yeah, how did this kind of come about, this idea of Wild Rivers?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the name of one of the songs on our album, and that song was born out of struggle with fear, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Which, it's interesting how you write music and then God uses that music that you've written to teach you in future circumstances, where it's like, dealing with fear in a way that I didn't think I understood back when I actually wrote the song. And yet it still stands out as like, yeah, this is an encouragement to me. Like, this is a prayer. This is my regular prayer as I endure fear, So, the chorus talks about how, like, it begins with, you tell me that I need to stay and face all of my fear, right? Because it's kind of built on that idea of to live as Christ, to die as gain. And if I'm like, it's so easy to be focused on the next life that we live to the
mm,
neglect of this one.
mm,
And
mm,
his response to me in that thought was, no, I need you to stay, and I need you to face your fear until you reach the boundless heights beyond the atmosphere. And so while we're on our way, we'll fight to stay above the waves and chase the wild rivers through the open grave. And so the wild river, in my thought process, the image, is kind of has two symbols, right? One, it's the river of one's spiritual life that carries it, that's been brought through the open grave, right? So Christ rose from the dead, and through the grave, we are carried on by his righteousness. But at the same time, the river gets high sometimes. So it's almost paradoxical. So that's the second meaning. Like sometimes being in the river feels like suffering, right? Sometimes being in the river feels like drowning. But that is exactly where God wants you to be.
mm,
That is his will for you. He carries you in the same river that sometimes drowns you,
mm,
but you know that you'll never, you know, I don't know, you won't be in ultimate danger in that river.
mm,
You know that the wading that you do through it will only ever strengthen you more and more toward his will for you and accomplishing his purposes in your life.
mm.
So all of that kind of plays into that image of a wild river. And I don't know, I like that word. I like the descriptor of wild. It's a river that's untamed. It's a river that isn't made
Mm,
by man. It's carved by a will that is greater and other than our own. So,
mm. Yeah, that's so good. And I think, I think in so many of these songs, especially in this
mm,
upcoming EP, there is a ton of imagery
yes.
that I think that you all listening to it will um, pick up on, and the different musical expressions that come out of that too. So,
Mm,
yeah, I think it's just really, really powerful. And I guess we should say too, for this EP, Jake, you did basically 100% of the writing for sure. And then I know that, it's interesting to see the different iterations of songs, or
mm,
I guess I should say ideas of songs. Cause I think what the final product we have for probably all of them is like, not what we started with. I mean, even in the studio, there was a
yeah.
couple songs where, we changed this interlude or changed, how this was going to go. And so I think it's been cool to kind of see, the journey of that, as
Yeah.
well, and the journey of those songs too. And to your point of, you write this song and then it's almost like you have to go through that experience yourself.
Mm,
And then you come back to that song and you're like, oh, actually, like, I understand this now. Or
mm,
this lyric that I thought meant this thing, I actually maybe need to change it
mm,
to further reflect, what my experience is too.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay, we kind of talked a little bit. Is there anything you want to talk about with Wild Rivers? We kind of talked about the EP, but there's also a song called Wild Rivers
Mm.
on this EP as well. Is there anything you want to kind of, I don't know, give our listeners musically, or just like any other further details you want to talk about with that?
Yeah. You know, I think it's a special song, right? There's a reason why it's the name of the album. And like you said, I think thematically the song actually ties together a lot of what the whole album speaks about. Um, so there's digging graves, which putting the old man to death and walking in newness of life. There's wilderness, which treading through the wild when you're feeling like there is no direction or path. God's path for you is in his sovereign will, and though he may not always tell you about it, he
Hmm.
calls you to continue to walk. um, Will you be mine tonight as long as you're with me? I think these songs are like, let's continue on. let's press on. Let's be together, despite the opposition around us in the world. I don't know. So I don't. All of that I feel like plays into the concept of living in the wild river,
Hmm.
treading through it, living out God's will in a way. And I'm talking in very explicitly Christian terms. Not all of our music is explicitly Christian.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's born out of these kind of ruminations or these considerations of God's work,
Mm.
and are like we often lean very poetic, right? And at least when I'm writing, I
Mm-hmm.
lean poetic. I like Need to Breathe is a huge inspiration to me
Mm.
because I love the way they play with words. I think it is an absolute art form what they do with music, and so I'm like, I try to aspire to use words not simply in an explicit fashion to communicate a concept, but I pull on a lot of visuals, and those visuals are often going to be biblical or Christian visuals.
Mm.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I just think I think the song is a lot of fun, has a lot of energy, and I'm really proud that it's a headline. It's like the headlining song of the album,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I think it's a great description. And I think musically with all these songs, there's some really cool things um, that are happening thematically, kind of how it brings about kind of what Jake was just saying. I think in Wild Rivers, especially what Billy is doing on drums, there's something about it that helps communicate kind of what you were just saying, Jake, and just how the rhythms he's playing. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to listen to it. um, but I think there's some really cool things happening there. But I think it's cool to have that context there as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I also wanted to kind of call out too, like I particularly enjoy your work on piano, right? Like I think you're such a talented piano player, and you brought such unique sounds to Wild Rivers, to every song, honestly, that play with rhythm, that kind of like could, even in Wild Rivers. I think what you do is you actually play the songs in four, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then but you play triplets
Mm-hmm.
on the piano, and it kind of plays with some rhythmic
Mm-hmm.
elements of the song that I think adds so much color. Like I think piano, you'll listen to it, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but you capture so much of the vision of the more I guess more ethereal sounds, more kind of folk sound.
Mm-hmm.
So in a lot of ways, that's in my head a combination of those two, the folk ethereal. If we had to create a genre
Yeah.
for some of what we do
Yeah.
on this album, that's just so fun to see. And I think anyway, I'm geeking out over the piano part. As a piano player, I'm like, I couldn't have written a better part.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's very high praise. But I think it's also, I was able to play around with it just because there was such a strong foundation already. And so I felt the freedom to be able to do that. And, yeah, and I think there is some really interesting kind of rhythmic things happening. And when we were in the studio, I was mainly using a keyboard to record the parts, but for two of the songs, Wild Rivers being one of them, I got to record on this like Baldwin, I think it was, grand piano that they had in the studio, and that was super fun. That was a really cool experience, where it was just me in the studio, just having you guys in my ears and playing along to that too. So that was a really like unique opportunity that I haven't had before too. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. I'm wondering if we can get into another song, Digging Graves. I believe this is, we had done a show at Trinity. It might have been like maybe some kind of Christmas show, and I think it was this song. and you guys played it as like an encore, I think, or something.
Oh, so
Was
that
it this
yeah,
song, or
that
was
was
it
as
a
long
different
as you're
one?
with me. Yeah, that was as
Okay, as
long as
long
you.
as you're
Yeah.
with me, which
Hmm.
Dan has a bunch of videos that
Yeah.
will cover that. But as long as you're with me, that's been like a journey of a
Hmm.
song as well. But I think for Digging Graves, it's been since you first played it for us.
Mm.
Like I remember when you started on the chorus, all of us, usually Jake, you would bring a song. It's like, hey, I'm working on this, and he would play through it, and we would kind of listen and be like, okay,
Hmm.
cool. But I think the first time you did this one in rehearsal, we were like, oh, this has this is like grit, this is
Mm.
like, it's such a bold, statement. And going back to that imagery, and as Jake said, there's a lot of, yes, Christian themes in our music, but I think that this idea of digging graves for the people we used to be, that kind of idea is very, I don't know, I think a lot of people will resonate with that, or that's maybe something they want to, the kind of people they want to inspire to be. So,
Mm.
yeah, do you want to just talk a little bit about this song thematically, sonically, what the process for you was writing it as well?
Yeah. No. It was fun. I don't remember how this song came to me, but I do remember when it did. It started with the that E shape that I play like on the one, I think 5, 7, 9 frets, and I don't change the E shape. I'm just moving up the neck of the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and it adds a lot of that crunchy, clustery kind of chords as the song goes on. But it ended up having this nice like almost southern jazzy rock sound that came out really clear. So you have all this tension in the instrumentation of the verses, and then the chorus finally opens up to that progression. That's
Mm-hmm.
more of a chromatic progression, actually, and so it's sonically. I have a lot of fun with that one because
Mm-hmm.
it demands a lot on an acoustic guitar. But yeah, that song definitely is a personal favorite of mine. I like putting it together was a blast. The chorus, of course, just kind of communicating that really simple but relatable concept, like you were saying, putting leaving the old me behind. That's really the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm digging graves for the man I used to be, and I'm digging graves for the plans that used to lead all the way down these roads of endless remorse. So it's like not only digging graves for the man, but the plans that I used to have. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting it all on the table, right?
Yeah.
Which that's a bold prayer, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I'm like I am an open book now, Lord. Write
Mm-hmm.
Your will on my life.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very Christian theme. I'm default into those kinds of ideas, but very relatable, like you said. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the bridge is definitely probably the most lifted out of like the scripture that kind of inspires the song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like Romans 6 esque, put to death the old, or buried with Christ in death, honestly, and raised to walk in newness of life. That's kind of a root passage. So the bridge is a prayer. I
Mm-hmm.
pray these old things they wash
Mm-hmm.
away. This old me stays in the grave. You say, out with the old and with the new. Today and evermore, I'll live for what is true. So it's like, and then it repeats, jumps an octave, has a ton of like power. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, very very fun song to
Yeah.
write, to bring to you guys. And that's the thing. Like it was good. Like when I brought it to you guys,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't great, and you guys made it great. Like to
Mm-hmm.
see the instrumentation and musicality that a band can bring to a song when we're all like have a common vision,
Mm-hmm.
common inspiration as we work to bring to life these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's why I never say this is my music anymore. It's our music. It's stuff that you guys have made your own, and it is like your organ part in that song.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It adds just so much flair and that southern rock feel. So anyway, really, I love
Yeah.
that song. Definitely a personal favorite.
Yeah, dude, it's been so fun, especially yeah, kind of what Jake was saying, the bridge. There's just so much like cool rhythmic things happening, and I think we did this live a bunch of times before we recorded it, and during the bridge or right before the bridge, we used to do this clapping
That's
thing,
right. That's right.
and we came up with all these like it was like four or five different complex rhythms, and I remember when we decided to record, we were like, "Are we gonna do the clapping?" And we all kind of were like, "No."
Yeah.
It's just like we could never get it right.
Yeah.
But I think that's like part of the process too, you know.
Yeah, it would have
Yeah,
like added another full, I think, probably a minute to the song, which was just not
yeah,
necessary. And it's fun to do live, but it's just, yeah, it took up way too much space. But I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, someone would have like the initial
yeah,
beat, and then someone would come in with,
yeah,
like it's just like it was fun. You can see when we do it live, we're just laughing and having fun on
yeah,
stage,
yeah.
which is probably the best part of it. So,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I definitely remember there was a rehearsal for like probably like 30 minutes. We just worked on those claps. Like
Hmm.
and it was just like we were all like closing our eyes and trying to keep up with our own, section or whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
this is insane. But it could maybe it's good. I don't know. It might be insane enough that it's like good.
Yep.
People are like, whoa, they can
That's what I aspire to. Yeah.
yeah, just complex like polyrhythms. People are like, "Oh my gosh, that's like
Yeah.
so bad it's good?" Question mark.
That's it.
Um, but yeah, so digging graves is like I feel like digging graves, and then as long as you're with me, like very rock inspiration. Like
Mhm.
those are definitely our most like I don't want to say intense, but like you know, we go hard on those songs for sure.
Yes.
And I feel like, you know, that kind of rock sound really comes out really strong. And
Mhm.
I think it's cool in this EP to have different musical, expressions. And we kind of touched on another song, Wilderness, which I think is Wilderness is kind of uh, very different from the
Yes.
rest of the album for sure. Um, but I would say is the most epic, like sounding. The
Mhm.
first draft we got of that mix, it was just insane.
Yes.
James's friend Charity sings on it, and it's just beautiful. She does a great job. Um, and so I know Dan is having some videos about that song as well. But that one really came together really nice and ties in with the Wild Rivers theme so great
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's so interesting to think about, like, what is the genre? Like, if someone
Hmm.
asks us, right, like, how would you describe the genre of this album? And it's like, it's hard to do.
Hmm.
Because like you said, there's these more like driven rock, almost like bluesy rock feel
Hmm.
in some of our songs, and then we have these like ethereal, cinematic songs like
Yeah.
Wilderness. Um, so it goes like rock, folk, ethereal, like pop rock, back to rock. So it's like
Yeah.
it's but I love that because
Hmm.
they all share a common kind of feel, which I think is more of like a folk rock. But like, I don't think we've ever been a band that is like content with making one sound and
Hmm.
kind of like rinse and repeat every song.
Hmm.
Uh, I've always, you know, if someone were to ask me, it's like, what's one thing that you want to be sure you don't do as a band? And it's like, I don't want someone to change tracks on a CD that we make and be like, wait, is this a different song?
Sure. Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's almost it. I perhaps abide too much to that. I'm too loyal
Yeah.
to that idea, but I find writing music, I don't want to stick to the 1 4 6 5 or what like that progression. I want to diversify the sound. I want to experiment with the sound while
Yeah.
keeping the integrity of something people want to listen to, right?
Yeah.
So Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I think it, you know, if you guys were ever in our rehearsals, we spend far too much time, uh, like talking about the how we're going to end a song, because I think
Yes.
there was definitely a time there where we were kind of ending each song the same,
Hmm.
and then we are like, we got to do these insane outros or whatever. But it goes to your point, Jake, of what you're saying. I think it's, how do we know what our foundation is as a band, and then how do we stay within that, experiment with that as well. And it's been cool to see how each person has really brought um, their own kind of interpretation of
Mm.
things.
Hmm.
And I think it's been really cool to see that. So I want us to get to um, another song in the EP, and maybe we'll end with this one, is talking about um, Will You Be Mine Tonight?
Hmm.
This one, actually, technically, we have a version already out, actually.
Yes. Hmm.
And by the time this video drops, we probably will have this is our going to be our first single within this EP
Hmm.
that will be out, actually.
Yes.
By the time you guys are watching this video, this single will probably already be out. So you
Yeah. So
can
go
hear
listen to
that
it.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, go listen right now. Literally
Right
stop
now.
this video.
Stop this. Go listen.
Yeah. um, but do you kind of want to talk about the story behind this one? Any kind of like how this song kind of morphed into what people will be hearing on the
Yeah.
EP as well.
Yeah. So, like Dan, the guitarist, and I, like, we often bring a lot of the content, that's written for the band to the table. And this is the one on the EP that Dan largely wrote. He brought it mostly finished to the band, and like he did something so cool with it. He was just like, "Hey guys, help me finish this song." And so we
Mm-hmm.
literally sat down and we
Mm-hmm.
wrote the rest of the song together. It's probably the first song that we wrote sitting in a circle, like together. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that was a lot of fun, and it kind of set an interesting precedent for future songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Gabe, you are a songwriter, and so it's like
Mm-hmm.
getting your insight more and more into the writing process. That is something I'm very excited about,
Mm-hmm.
because you write such excellent music, and so like doing that in a communal writing style was interesting. And so it came out to be this kind of interesting song that's more of like a love song. It was funny because we played this song at a Christian event, and after we were done, a lady came up and she's like, "Yes, Jesus is the one we love." Like, she tried to spin it because it's kind of like a love song. And I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I like it. I like this." But and that's the thing. Like, I think there's if we're ever going to reclaim the culture of music, then we need to write music that isn't always explicitly Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want love songs that are written by Christians that everyone wants to hear, then sometimes you don't exactly put in explicitly Christian themes, but you put in what a love that is kind of informed by God,
Mm-hmm.
informed by his pattern for marriage and for love, what that looks like. You paint that picture, and you put it, you tell a story with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the song is about like being in a car, picking up the person you love, and just driving all night,
Mm-hmm.
like being with that person, spending time with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the furthest from any real like song about like a dramatic testimony, things I tend
Mm-hmm.
to end up writing. But I think that's the best part of the song, is the fact
Mm-hmm.
that it's uniquely approachable in that sense. And so I love it. I think it's a riot to do. It has the multiple harmonies. That's the thing that people always talk about after that song, is the 3-part harmonies that we were able to hammer out.
Yeah.
But before the songs, it was actually only recently, probably, we've been doing the song for maybe 3 or 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
probably longer actually. It was back when I was at a worship director, so 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just kind of like guess the harmony every time we would do
Mm-hmm.
the harmonies. And then one day we were like, all right, let's actually sit down and hammer this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And James on bass, Dan on guitar, and me doing the 3 parts. I think it just sounds so cool now. And Greg was able to add some effects to it on the album.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part of the song is those woes. It's just so cool to hear.
Yeah.
Vocals turned into instruments is kind of the idea. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, we did, as Jake said, we did this event at this church, and it was funny because it was this event with a bunch of super talented like Black gospel choirs, and then we were there also, and it was just like our sound was so much different, but I think people were really like they were like vibing with it, when we did that song, because I think we did that one and maybe one other song.
Yeah, we did Digging Graves, and they loved that. They really loved it.
So it's been like really cool to see that in different environments too. Yeah, and the instrumentation, like especially the vocals in the recording process, it was really cool because Greg had you guys all stand around kind of like a condenser microphone like this one.
Yeah.
And then, recording you individually. So it's like, it really does have this very choral like sound, even though it's really just you, 3 guys. And yeah, I would say for anybody who listens to this recording vocals, I mean, that was like, you guys did vocals that was a whole day, like 8 hours of just getting it. And, it did pay off, even though it was like such a long process. And yeah. And then at the end of that song, I started doing this weird offbeat piano part, and I was like, they'll hate this. I'll just do it for fun one time. And then they were like, everybody was like, you're doing that on the album. And I remember like, that was one of the days where I was recording on that grand piano, and I was in the studio. I had my eyes closed. I was counting. I was like, 1, 2, 3. Cause I was like, why did I write this like insane piano part? I should have done something easier. But, and then our friend Steve-O as well, who does he work at the church you work at? He goes there, I know. For sure,
so he helps with youth ministry. Yeah. So,
okay, sweet. Yeah. So he added some like this like sick synth part that's going over it as well. And he added some effects to the other songs too. So, yeah,
you bring up an interesting, part of the recording process, right? Like you said, we went in with a pretty ambitious schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to do 7 songs in 3 days. Greg told us maybe 4 times. He's like, that's not going to work. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Of course, we're like thick-headed, and we're like, no, we're a different band. We're different. Greg, calm down. We end up sprinting through 5 songs, and we had to cut the 2 that we wanted to remaster from the first album.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, that ended up meaning that we had to do like full vocals in like 1 day, basically.
Yeah.
Which that was a unique challenge for me because I needed to be sure not to fry my vocals, like pushing to try to get the right part and to hit those high notes. So that was a unique process, having to take breaks to try to and drink tea to try to be sure the vocals were staying strong.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with how they turned out by God's grace. That's good. But ultimately what it required of us to do the songs at the pace that we did was consistency. And I think Dave, when you were playing that piano part in Will You Be Mine Tonight, we were all sitting in the back. I don't think you knew this. We were all sitting in the back listening to you play on the Baldwin. And we were just really, like, all of us just talking, glazing you, I think is the word. Because we were like, Gabe he is so consistent. If we weren't as consistent as we were, like able to play out our parts in 1 or 2 takes with minimal to no mistakes, like that's the kind of rehearsal that we came into this with. We wouldn't have been able to do it. And but thanks to that, thanks to like you coming in with such a consistent and well-written piano part, Billy, consistent, well-written drum part, Dan, James on bass, like that's what made it possible. Like going into that studio ready made it possible.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and to you too, Jake, I think it was all your vocal takes, especially on these songs that are, the vocal range is really high.
Mm.
There was never a take where it was like, oh my gosh, Jake, you suck. You're way off key. It was such minor things. I was like, if we don't get this, like, it's okay. But yeah, there was definitely day 2. I think there was definitely a time where, yeah, there was like a listening room kind of in the back of where the studio was. And I remember that day I was just chilling in there for probably like 7.5 hours.
That's right.
And
Yep. Yep.
it was super, like, I was totally fine with it, but it was like, yeah, you were kind of making sure you were getting those high notes. And then Dan was having some like real difficulty with his actual physical vocal cords, where
Right.
he wasn't able to control, where his voice was going. And so then it was like, okay, I'm kind of like listening to his parts. I'm like, okay, like if I have to like step in and do his harmonies, but he sounds great on it. He probably, watching this, he'll probably be like, those guys are liars. But he sounds great.
He does. We had to add that later, right? Like, because you're right. He wasn't feeling great. So what we did is, at our church, we set up a condenser, recorded it, sent it to Greg. And you can't even tell, right? That it wasn't recorded in the studio. That's how good Greg is. And so, yeah, no, you're right. I think he'll vehemently disagree, as he often does. Even his guitar solo. And by the way, everyone, if he gives this face melting solo,
it's
at
insane.
the end of As Long As You're With Me, and he talks himself down even on that. And so, like, I'm just here to say, honest opinion, Dan's the best guitar player I've ever met, and will ever know. So
yeah,
full stop.
He's insane. Yeah, like, and that there was that solo where that was like at the end of, like, basically the end of when we were all recording together, like our last kind of full day together. And so it was just Dan in the studio, and this solo is a journey. Like, it is just technically so difficult. And, the first couple times he was trying to get it, and then he finally got it. And it was just insane. 'Cause that was kind of the first time we had all like really heard it in the way he wanted us to.
Yes.
And so it was just like, we're just all sitting there like, holy crap, like, this is insane. And so there was like some really cool moments like that, where it was just really cool. And I think you mentioned it was a sprint. It really was like a marathon, like, because I think at some point I had to leave early, and then James did too. So, and then it ended up just being you and Dan, and you guys were really like full out flying, to the end. But the whole time it was like, this is so sick. We're just like, it's so awesome. Yeah. And I just think it's really cool to see the different, I don't know, journeys of this band, kind of how we started. And really, I wasn't really a part of that. But, really, Billy and Dan started it, and then Jake, you came on shortly after that. And then I came in kind of a year or two after that, and James in the last couple of years. So it's been cool to see how this has all kind of come together. And like we were saying before, please, like, go listen to these songs, because I think they are good. And so I don't know, do we want to end with just talking about kind of what we have going forward for the band? We have a EP release show.
Yes.
Jake, do you want to talk a little bit about that, like the details of that?
Yeah, so on October 10th, we will be doing an album, like, EP release concert. It's going to be fun. We'll play through the EP, but we'll also do some of our other content. We'll also do some covers. It'll be at the Piazza in Aurora, Illinois. So it's a great music venue. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So October 10th, which is a Friday, it'll be at 7 p.m. So we're just gonna jam, spend some time together, come out and support the album. Tickets will be sold. The final price for the ticket is to be determined, but it won't be more than $10. So it's going to be pretty affordable to get in, and so I'm really excited about that. I think we're gonna have a party, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
celebrate what I think is just such a cool achievement, which
Yeah.
is evidence of God being faithful to us, right? That's thanks to the resources we've had doing
Mm.
worship at camps and playing various other gigs.
Hmm.
We've got the money, the resources to put this together, and we're just so excited to show it to you guys. So yeah, there's that. That's going to be coming up going forward as well. We're going to be trying to get out there to gig, not at just big places, but small places too. Anywhere that'll have us, because we just like making our
Hmm.
sound. Even this Friday, Gabe is coming, and we're all gonna. Dan, Gabe, and I are just gonna meet up for a
Hmm.
rehearsal to see. All right, let's condense our sound. Right,
Hmm.
we got tracks now because we've professionally recorded this music. Let's see what we can do with if only three of us can play at a
Hmm.
venue. Let's see what kind of sound we can make and still
Yeah.
uphold the integrity of our music. So I think right now we're all just excited to play, right? We're
Hmm.
excited to get out there and make music.
Yeah.
That's what we're passionate about. That's what we love doing. And
Yeah.
for me personally, I love doing it with you guys. I wouldn't want to do
Hmm.
it with anyone else. So yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. And basically, like, really, we just want to make money so that we can have Taco Bell. That's
exactly.
that's it. So if like
Please.
if 7 people come to the show, that we can have a feast.
Yeah.
So
We
that's
won't even
it.
show up. We'll just see the tickets.
Yeah, we won't play.
We'll go to Taco Bell right then. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can come with us, but yeah, we won't play. You can watch us eat Taco Bell. Just kidding. But yeah, it's been really cool to see all this come together. And so yeah, for those of you watching October 10th, keep an eye on our socials on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have like all the links and stuff for where you can buy tickets and stuff too.
And just so you know, also the album fully releases on October 10th as well, and I think it's like at 12 a.m. So the full album released that day, available everywhere, and we'll also have the album release concert that day. So that's a big day. Put it in your calendar.
Yep.
October 10th.
Yeah. So while you're driving there,
Yeah.
you can listen to the EP. It's like 25 minutes. So if you live a couple hours away, you can listen to it a couple times. You'll know all the words.
Yep.
So it'll be great.
If you're 5 minutes away, just drive around the building until you're done.
Yeah.
Then you come in.
Yeah, that's the requirement. You have to
Yep.
listen to all the songs before you come in.
Yes. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Jake, for just having this conversation, for writing this awesome music, for all your time with this too, and for all of you watching. We hope that this kind of helps bring some context to what we're trying to create, and yeah, we hope you like the music that you're hearing.
Yep. Thanks, Gabe. I really appreciate it, man. You're such an incredible man, multi-talented. I love everything that you put your hands to, because I think it turns to gold. And so it's a pleasure to do this with you, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody, listen to the EP. Whenever you listen to this, if the EP is out, stop watching us and go listen to that.
Yes.
If you're watching this on the way to our concert, good job.
Yes.
You did great. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.